How do you trust your intuition? This is a huge question, and I love it because so many of us are searching. We're looking for that inner clarity, that inner guidance, those answers to the questions we've been asking. So, I'm going to do my best to break it down as much as I can. Normally, I teach how to trust your intuition in a 6-week course. So, it's a pretty big concept. Like I said, I'm going to break it down. Hopefully, you get a lot of information out of this. If you don't know who I am, my name's Janice. I'm an intuition development coach. I'm a speaker, I'm a healer. And so what I do is I break down intuition and energy as much as I can to make it easy for you. Easy for you to understand, easy for you to work with. So you know what to do, you know what you're feeling for, and then what to do with it. And that leads to ease and clarity and making just everything flow for you, which is so lovely. It's a great feeling when everything comes together and you're like, oh, okay, I know what I'm listening for. I know what to do. And everything just kind of happens for you. So let's dive in to how to trust your intuition. And I love breaking this down because I don't know of anyone else who breaks it down this way. I like getting into the nitty gritty and really understanding it, really feeling it. So first thing to trust your intuition is to know what it feels like, what you're sensing for, and what you're listening for. If you don't know those sensations, it is really hard to be like, okay, what am I trusting? Or knowing what you're trusting, right? When you know this is a yes for you, this is a no for you, this is what, this sensation means. Because if you watched any of my other videos, intuition is energy. It is something that we feel, we sense. And I do say here because some of us do have that sense. What you need to know first and foremost is everybody works differently. So my intuition works differently than yours. It works differently than your best friends. And that's all okay. What you're looking for is how it works and feels for you, because that's the guidance that is going to guide you to wherever you're meant to be, to the best of the best. And it's going to make it really fun along the way. So what do I mean when I say this? We are feeling for different sensations. So temperature, warm or cold. We are feeling for tingles, sensation, anything that calls us forward, anything that we kind of feel attracted to or kind of magnetically drawn to. We are looking for sensations like heavy or light, right? We've all had that conversation where someone's talking and you're just like, oh my gosh, like all the energy just kind of drains out of you. And you're just like, you know what? I don't think this is quite for me. And that's your inner guidance. It is something that you feel. And like I said, everyone is different. So for me personally, my yes is very much a little like a pendulum. Like I feel called in my heart. I feel pulled forward. I feel kind of like magnetized towards something, right? My no is my shoulders being pulled back. That's one of them. I also get a gut feeling that just kind of drops, or my energy, I just suddenly feel drained. So I know if I experience kind of that draining feeling or that pullback, it's like, no, this is not for you, Janice, carry on. If I feel kind of pulled to something, like if I feel pulled to a book or something else, like a location, right? Some people like Greece. It's just like a location that they've never been, but they've always wanted to go. And you can feel that. There's a lightness to the feeling. There's kind of a pull or an attraction to, or maybe there's a warmth to that, right? That is something that you feel. So you can think of an example, right? What is something that you've always liked, always appreciated, always felt called to? It could be specific like Greece. It might just be the beach or mountains. What physical sensations do you get, and where do you get that? Because you, if you're spreading your awareness, will notice, right? Some of you might feel it in your heart. Some of you might feel it in your arms. You might feel a tingling along your face. Whatever it is, that's a yes for you. That's a call for you. And I always recommend, at the very least, start with knowing your yes and your no. So think of a time when you knew something wasn't for you. You were like, this has no written all over it. Did your gut drop? Did you feel the energy just kind of like rush out of you? How did it feel? Because that is your no. For me, it's like if I'm in a conversation about a collaboration or just having a conversation about like, oh, maybe on Saturday night we should go here. And I'm just like, ooh, I feel this withdrawal already. I'm like, okay, this isn't for me. There's something else that's going to be more exciting, that's going to make me like feel that excitement or that sparkle in my heart. You can describe it any way you want, but that's what you're kind of listening for. So that's one, just one of the many ways our intuition works with us. That's one of the things that we are trusting, is learning to feel. And I will say this, if you're on this journey, give yourself some credit, celebrate yourself for showing up and for doing the work. A lot of the times we have, if you think of stories we've been told, we've been taught to disconnect from our bodies, to not appreciate them, potentially to even hate them, right? Or we've been told how we should feel. We have been told maybe not to feel, particularly men have been told, don't show emotion, be tough, right? That disconnects you from your inner guidance, that disconnects you from your emotions and from the ability to feel, right? When you are disconnected from your body, intuition is a lot harder. So welcome home. Sometimes that journey comes with some tears. Sometimes it's a lot of unprogramming stories we've been told, but your intuition is always there. We're just learning to feel for it, learning to sense it. And other ways, because it gets more exciting, don't worry. Other ways that your intuition works with you is, I don't know if I mentioned this in another video, but if something just leaves an impression or a resonance. So I was on a family trip with, like, when I was really young, and there was a sign on the exit of the highway, like, just stuck out to me. I know exactly what it is to this day. And there was just something about the way I saw it. The light was different. It was just a little deeper. And about 45 minutes past that exit, my parents said, "Hey, kids, did anyone see this exit?" And I was like, "Yeah, it was way back there." I was like 6, maybe 7 at the time. And they were like, "There's no way you saw that." And I was like, "Yeah, of all the exits on the highway, that's the one that stuck out." I didn't know why at the time. I was just like, "Oh, there's this exit. Well, that's interesting." Went back to my book, but it was important, right? So it was just like making a note. Okay, it just seemed like it left a resonance, seemed a little deeper. Now, when we get things like that and we're like, oh my God, this must be important, rule of thumb is to chill out just a little bit. In my course, I do teach you what to do with what you get, but for now, let's just practice acknowledging kind of what we're looking for, what we're feeling for, listening for, sensing for. So things like that. And it happens too with the radio. You might just hear like a snippet of a conversation or lyrics on the radio that they just mean something to you, right? They leave an impression and it just catches your attention. It piques your interest. You're like, oh, that just stood out. If it's standing out, there's a reason. That is a message, it is guidance, whatever it is, but that's what you're trusting. That's what we're sensing for as we go through our day. And as we start to practice this muscle, we start to understand why, and we start to work with it, and we start to structure this relationship, which is really, really awesome because it's so powerful. There is not a moment your intuition's not there. But those are some examples, right? So hearing, your vision, your sense of smell. Some people know, it's like, okay, I'm stressed about this, don't know how it's going to turn out, and they will smell flowers. And they'll know that that means it's a happy ending, right? So your intuition has your back. We also know, if it leaves a sour taste in your mouth, that is not for you. There is something off about that situation. So we're listening to all of these cues. There are so many more, but start to notice what kind of pulls you towards, what piques your interest, what leaves an impression, and what do you kind of want to push away from? What are you kind of like, no, what gives you hesitation or reason to pause? Because if your gut is saying something is off, something is off. And we can always go deeper. We can always get more specific by asking questions and kind of understanding how our intuition works. For me, one of my strongest intuitive skills is I have a running dialogue at this point. Like, I can talk to my intuition and my inner guidance anytime I want, right? And they will get my attention if I'm not paying attention. So for me, if I'm stressed about a situation, I just ask, right? And it could be anything. Sometimes if I'm driving on the highway, the traffic's really busy and there's a lot of big trucks and I drive a really small car and I'm like, I got to get past this vehicle, right? I'm like, guys, I don't know about this. They're not really, it's like, you are safe, move forward. I get that guidance instantly. And it's so helpful because then I don't spend any energy worrying, panicking, questioning. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I don't, right? We don't want that energy in our lives. We want our energy to be peaceful, to flow, to be fun and light. And so when we tune in to our intuition, it has our back in all of those moments, whether that moment is exhilarating or whether you are just having a really awful day and you're like, I need to pick me up, I need help, help me course correct. So your intuition is there. And again, with practice, like any muscle, it gets bigger, it gets more clear, it gets more obvious. So spend some time, go within and listen. Notice what you feel, notice tingles, right? See if you can just be with it. Because a lot of us want to jump to, okay, what does that mean? Just pay attention and notice. There'll be more information. You can work with me, post tips and tricks all the time on social media on how to work with this and really establish this healthy, flowing relationship with your intuition and your inner guidance. It's all about you. Now, what to do with it, kind of as the next step, is if you get an impulse that is directing your action, whether it's to do something or not to do something, listen and be super, super honest. And I can't stress that enough. So let's say you want to open a store and you're like, there's a location here and I really want to open a store. And is this the right location? And I'll use myself. It's like, if I get pulled back, right, that's my no. And you're like, oh, but I really want the store. Maybe you guys can just say yes. I am bargaining. I am wishy-washy in that energy. I am not trusting the first thing I got, right? I'm trying to morph it into a yes. But here's the thing. Your intuition knows so much more than you. So it knows maybe the electrical's not very good or the plumbing's not very good and that building's going to flood 2 months after you plan on taking occupation 2 months after you plan on opening your business, right? Your intuition already knows this and it knows that there is a better location. So if you're getting a no, don't talk yourself out of it. Be like, okay, there's something better, right? But if you're getting a yes, if you're like, should I go to this event? And you're like, okay, yes, you're saying yes, go to the event, call that person, buy that book or whatever it is, right? Say yes, plan that trip. If you're getting a yes, like, gosh, you just need to be here. You just need to be here. Say yes, right? Because that tells your intuition, I'm listening, please work. Otherwise, your intuition is sitting there going, we're telling you and you're not listening. And then you're getting frustrated that it's not working. So listen to the guidance you get and be honest, right? Even if you're acknowledging like, okay, I wish this really was the building, but look for the other opportunity, okay? Because there will be, say, okay, guide me. I have an intuition. If you know this isn't it, guide me to what is. And maybe you'll pop on like Marketplace and be like, oh, they're renting out this location. That might be really good. Who knows, right? So learning to work with it, learning to say yes or no, following it and be honest. Kind of ask some more questions if you're not sure. That's also a great tip on how to trust, right? Because it's not about just kind of like dangling your intuition and being like, well, this is it. We get to work with it. We get to know a lot more when we're ready to show up and when we're being honest, I'll say. So that's a really good place to start, is getting to know yourself. There's so much information here. It takes practice. What I usually recommend is sit with yourself. Just sit on the couch. You don't have to meditate, but just be and just notice what you feel. Drop into your body. Notice if your breath is flowing or if you're holding tension. Notice if your body wants to relax or if you're holding tension, right? And just see. Notice if you feel tingles on your arm or a light breeze or like you get the shivers or chills or something, right? Noticing that. And the last tip I'll give you in this video is it helps the universe runs on energy. It is made of energy and we create when we have strong focused intention and strong focused energy. So rather than throwing your intuition out there, throwing your like desire for intuition out there and being like, okay, give me a sign, maybe, hopefully, right? We're not crossing our fingers and saying, well, I hope something gets back to me. Use your intuition, give it a name. I call mine my team. because for me, it just makes me giggle a lot, actually. Right? If I'm having a rough day, I'm like, all right, team meeting, or it's like team celebration, this is going well. For me, that works. It might not resonate with you. I have worked with people who have said, yeah, team doesn't resonate. I think it's a him. So call it him, call him Fred, call him whatever, to give you that kind of solidified personification of whoever you're talking to. It could be female, it could be your grandma, it could be anybody, right? But it's very similar if you've ever taken a CPR course. When they say get someone to call 911, you don't just say someone call 911. You say, hey, you in the blue shirt, call 911, so that it's direct. And our intuition is no different. So know who it is you're talking to. Whether you picture a teddy bear or whether you picture God, it doesn't matter. Whatever works for you, roll with it. And like I said, it takes practice, but when you know what you're feeling for and sensing for, it all starts to become clear and you start to piece it together, and it gets really, really good and really, really exciting. So hopefully that's a good start. If you want to know more, you can always sign up for my classes, my courses, learn more, go deeper. I will say it does help to have somebody walk you through this and guide you through this, because it just makes it so much more efficient. There's way less trial and error, and it gets to be a lot more fun. So if you're interested, you can check out that information below, subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions, of course, post them below, because I do love answering them and I love seeing how you guys work with your intuition.